Welcome to In Conversation with WLV Doctoral College. I'm Dr. Deborah Curiton and I'm the Research Development Manager at the University of Wolverhampton.
I'm Dr. Ben Hannigan, I'm Director of the Doctoral College.
Today's vlog we're going to talk about what is doctoralness. What's the difference between a doctorate, a professional doctorate or a PhD, and how they differ from a master's degree or an undergraduate degree. This is a question that we often get asked, because one of the learning outcomes of a doctorate is that the work is of doctoral quality, it has got doctoralness. And how do you define what doctoralness is?
I think fundamentally the difference is, for me, that at master's level you're synthesising material that's already kind of out in the field.
Yeah.
So it can be a very adept, very good drawing together of a number of ideas to create an advanced engagement with subject matter.
Yeah.
So a synthesis is perhaps for the final master's project what's going on.
Yeah.
With a doctorate, you actually need to generate new knowledge. So the differences between originality and new knowledge and synthesis.
Yeah.
With a doctorate, therefore, you can't just pull together existing ideas and have a nice merging of them and make the standard conclusions. You actually have to say something no one said before. You have to do something no one said before. You have to conclude something that is a new contribution to the field. And that's essentially the difference. And that's why a PhD should be 3 times as long as a master's, which would typically full-time be a year, and a PhD would be 3 to 4 years full-time. So I think that's the fundamental difference, I would say.
I think there's a difference in the way that you write, the voice, the academic voice that you portray in a doctorate to that compared to either undergraduate or masters. And it's one in which you are leading the argument, you are positioning yourself as an expert, because you will be an expert in your thesis. Nobody will know the piece of work that you've done for your doctorate the way that you know it. There'll be people who will have an expertise in areas that relate to your to the area in which you're researching, but they will not have the level of expertise in the area that you have done a doctorate. So you need to lead those arguments, and you need to use those other theorists to support the arguments, to underpin the decisions that you make as kind of foils for your argument. You might be countering their arguments, their position. You might be challenging the way that they've looked at a particular area through a particular lens, and you might be offering a new lens, a new insight, a new perception.
I like what you said, lead the argument. Because I mean that's also the difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than just follow a series of arguments and apply them, you're actually now in a PhD leading the argument.
And I think this is, there are transitions into education that we often don't articulate very well to students. This is one of the ones that we don't articulate at doctoral level. We kind of just expect you to know that suddenly you're an expert and not, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying, Ben. Please excuse me. You are the expert in the field now and taking that position as an expert.
Yeah, so there's a level of seriousness to the endeavour. You are individually the person that's looking at this area, and the expectation is you will be a PhD level expert, which is the highest degree. Whereas an outstandingly good master's student will be perhaps doing something that other people in other universities may also, have done somewhat or a bit, So I think it is that sense of arising from the originality of what you're doing, of a uniqueness to who you are and what you've done, and that research is your own. And you're the person that's developed and made this argument that nobody else has.
Because as examiners, we when we look at a thesis, we look to see that the author of the thesis has actually led. They've led this piece of research. That they are the independent researcher, and we're looking for that development from where somebody started out. We're looking at the journey as well as the product. So we are looking for evidence that you've led the piece of research, and you can only do that if you're coming from the position of the expert, that you are leading the research, leading the field in this area.
So that would be essentially the difference. And I think this is a useful thing to think about if you're, especially at this time of year, finishing a master's, thinking about doing a PhD.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, is it not just a supersized master's? Well, it's a bit more than that, you know. But then at the point of doing a final master's project, you're often encountering things that you think deserve further study, and you want to be the person to lead that argument, to make that case. So in a way, you know, although these two things are separate, the originality of PhD arises from the synthesis of the master's experience.
So, you know, a master's thesis or an undergraduate thesis can be the springboard into a doctorate.
Often so, and I think that's a good thing to write in a PhD application as well. You know, to say that my master's has led me into a certain area that I believe deserves further research and further study, or my suspicion is that, you know, we can prove this or that or the other, and this arose from my final master's project, but I want to continue it. And I think that's often very reassuring to a university to see that a PhD is a continuation of a master's project.
So contribution to knowledge can take a number of different forms, can't it? I think it's useful. For me, there's a book called Stepping Stones to Your Doctorate that's written by Vernon Trafford and Shoshi Lesham. And in there they've got 6 different definitions of contribution to knowledge. It's well worth having a look at that book, because I think when you come to talk about a contribution to knowledge or a contribution to practice, if you're a professional doctoral student, that you're able to define not only the contribution that you've made or you are going to make, but how you've made it or how you are going to make it.
Because often an examiner will say, what's the contribution to knowledge here? What's the new information you've generated? And you need to be able to answer.
I think another difference between doctorate and other forms of degree are about one of the learning outcomes is that a doctorate should be of publishable quality. And we wouldn't expect that of a master's degree or an undergraduate degree, although sometimes people do publish from them. We are expecting a publishable quality piece of work. And I think that's a process that as a student, as a postgraduate researcher, you'll work with your supervisor to work to that point. It doesn't just appear overnight. We don't just expect you to be of that standard and produce and work of that quality straight away. It is a journey, it is a learning journey, and the doctorate, as I've said earlier, is a process, a learning journey. And we're equally interested in that learning journey as the product of the thesis.
And it can be quite difficult, because I think that the level of prose that for a master's is fine, for PhD may not cut it. So it could be that your supervisors for the first 4, 5, 6 months spend a lot of time unpicking what you've written and pointing out that you're making assumptions that need further citations or need probing or testing. And that can be quite difficult for someone who's just completed a master's and had a good experience and believes themselves to be an expert, to suddenly find that fundamentals have been questioned. But you go through that at every university, and then on the other side of it, you're the person that can deliver the publishable artifact at the end of this stuff.
Okay, so it is a step up, it is slightly different, but it's one that your supervisors will support you with along the way.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for listening. As always, we're really interested to hear what vlogs you would like us to do, what topics you would like us to cover. So if you've got any ideas of questions that you'd like to ask of us, or ideas that you'd like us to cover, please do put them in the comments below. And if you haven't done so already, please follow our channel, please subscribe, and you'll get updates to when we release new vlogs. We release new vlogs every Friday, so watch out for further vlogs from us. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, bye.